Well, welcome back everybody to Advisor & Co. and Money Matters. I hope since our last session you had the time to write out your financial vision and really get set to what it is that you want to accomplish with our time together. This week we're going to look at the importance of getting out of debt and getting on a budget. But first, let's stop and check in with the people in our story and see how they are handling their own financial life.
I got some financial material, and that can help me get my stuff straight. I figured out I had to get my receipts together, loans, figure out how much I owed on those. I'd figure out I still had a student loan. I really had to go to God for direction. I had to go to Him, because I had no idea how I was going to make this budget and how I was going to get out of debt. And probably one of the worst things I had to go through was I figured out that, man, to pay off these bills and pay this stuff off, I was going to have to sell some of my stuff. That 3D TV, I didn't think I was going to keep it around so long.
I am a small business owner, and looking back at it now, it's just the whole journey. It's crazy because I can remember when Chloe was little and clipping coupons and exchanging babysitting services with other moms, all to stay within my budget and not go in debt. And as I look back on it now, I'm still doing those things. So as I look back on it, it's amazing. It was amazing, but it was a long, hard journey. Specifically, I remember a time when I had to sell some things just to be able to go to the doctor. And looking back on those things, I am so glad I did it. Because if I didn't do those things, I have no idea where I would be. I would probably be broke right now.
So we looked at our finances, and we put our budget together, and we realized that we were still in way over our heads, and we had to get out of debt somehow.
At this point, I'm a young, newly married guy. I had no idea how expensive all that baby stuff is. We went shopping around, looking, just browsing. I almost passed out. So expensive. And then on top of it, you take our chintzy little budget, throw a baby on top. It was horrible. I'd say the time when kind of things turned for the better was when we learned about the debt snowball. We realized with little steps we could really take care of this thing. There was hope.
Well, it looks like the people in our story have really taken a look at their financial position, and they're taking the next step to actually pursue it, which is critical. You see, debt is one of the biggest hurdles that you and I face in our journey to become financially free, because debt equals bondage. The borrower is slave to the lender. Think about it this way. How has debt affected your life? What's the most questionable thing that you bought on credit? I know years ago, mine was a vacation. And even when the vacation is over, well, guess what? The interest continued. Or think about it this way. Have you ever felt that your debt was hunting you? Here's the answer. If you were afraid to answer the phone because of a bill collector, then the answer is yes. We are now going to hear from Dave Ramsey, and he's going to share with us some proven ways that we can use to be debt-free. It's only been working for people for 30 years. Let's do it.
My wife Sharon and I, we got out of school. We got married. No, this is not marriage. We had a little bit of student loan debt, a lot of money on our Amico card because I bought a couch on my Amico card. I don't think you're supposed to do that, but the guy at the flea market said it was okay. And we started off our lives, and we were eating off a card table, driving a 1902 Pinto, and we were trying to get going, and we needed a television. We needed a television. So I went down to the electronics store, and I got 90 days, same as cash, because I had no cash. And I was a finance major, and so I'm going to get this free money, 0 interest, because I'm so smart. By the way, 80% of 90 days, same as cash, doesn't pay off in 90 days and transfers to high-interest loans at your local finance company, 24 to 38%, with a prepayment penalty, just to go ahead and kick you one more time to remind you how dumb you were. Most people don't pay it off in 90 days. And if you don't pay it off in 90 days, by the way, the 90 days isn't free either. They backcharge you through that for the interest. It's how it works. It's a game. It's called fishing. Right? That's the deal. And so we started off our lives that way, and we went and bought a television. Then I went and bought a car I wanted that my wife, I thought, needed. Yeah, some of you guys have bought a car that you wanted that you thought your wife needed. Yeah, you blamed it on her, in other words, right? And then we went to get a house. Get a house, get a house, get a house, get a house. You got to get a house if you don't get a house. Oh, you don't want to be a renter. Renters are evil. Renters' salvation is in jeopardy. You do not want to be a renter, because this is the way our culture talks, isn't it? You'll never be anybody. Get a house, get a house, get a house, get a house. You know what happens when broke people get a house? They get broker. That's why they call them real estate brokers. A house is not a blessing when you're broke. It'll take you apart and take you down. So if you want to get a house, do some stuff about money that the Bible says so you're not broke anymore, and then go get you a house. But I didn't do that. I've been married about 15 minutes. People are in my living room going, you need to get a house. Get a house, get a house, get a house, get a house. And so we went and found a house with nothing down, because that's how much we had to put down. They called it creative financing, which if you look it up in the Greek means too broke to buy a house. And so we bought a house about 3 blocks over from where I grew up. Larry Burkett used to say we spend the first 5 to 7 years of our marriage trying to attain the same standard of living as our parents. Only it took them 35 years to get there. I lived in the same neighborhood as Mom and Dad, had a better car than Mom and Dad, and for sure had a better TV and stereo system than Mom and Dad. 52% of the marriages end in divorce in North America today. Of those that divorce, the number one cause is money fights and money problems. Of those that divorce in the first 7 years of marriage, 90% say money caused it. Young marriages are falling apart everywhere. You know why? When you're like this, your leg gets tired. They come in our office, they look like this all the time for financial counseling. Dave, can you get me out? When I went broke and started over, I discovered this was the truth. That the borrower is slave to the lender is the truth. Regardless of how you feel, this is the truth. And so regardless of what one of the benefits of going broke is I didn't care what anybody thought anymore. You get over worry about what people think. And you just go do whatever. And if they laugh at you, you just go, well, that's good. You just keep laughing. And you just keep going. And so I just kept going. And people made fun of me. Dave, you're a simpleton. You're not very sophisticated. The financial world thinks I'm a wiener in a steakhouse, you know. And my net worth 6 times what any one of theirs is. You know, I mean, isn't it amazing? It's a concept. But we got out of these things, and I want to show you how. How do you get out? Well, the first thing was I discovered, I was reading through Proverbs. If you read Proverbs over and over and over again, you get a master's degree in finance. It's amazing. There's 31 Proverbs, so you can read one a day. Just get you a little spiritual one a day. And so I'm doing my little spiritual one a day one morning, and I've read through this a bazillion times, and I've heard this. People call in on my radio show. They're getting out of debt, and they say, I'm getting out of debt. They have this thing in their voice that tells me that they're going to make it. And then the others they call in, they're like, well, dude, sort of kind of like maybe this strategy, and maybe it'll work sort of maybe. So what sort of do you do? I'm like, well, I can't help you. Call me back. I didn't know what it was, but I said, like, call me back when you're mad or something, you know? You got to get that thing going, you know? And I couldn't put my finger on it, and I was reading through Scripture one morning, and I hit Proverbs 6, 1 through 7. And it says, if you've signed surety, my son, which is Old English Bible talk, forgot yourself in debt. if you've gotten yourself in debt, do this. Now, I teach people how to get out of debt, and I wanted to get out of debt, and so I saw a do this, and my little ears went, whoa, whoa, whoa. Because I had a spiritual experience a few years ago. I discovered God is smarter than me. And when he says, you're here and you don't want to be here, so do this, I'm listening for what comes after that. That's a big deal. If you're in debt, biblically, do this. Give no sleep to your eyes, no slumber to your eyelids, and deliver yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter, a bird from the hand of the fowler. And I promise you, it's not very reverent, but I promise you I went, great, gazelles. What am I going to do with gazelles? Great little animal metaphor, talk about it in Sunday school. But, I mean, how are you going to talk to people about gazelles and death? This doesn't. That night, God answered my prayer. I was scanning the channels, and I hit the Discovery Channel. And there on the Discovery Channel, there was the gazelles. They were out there gazelling around. And what were they doing? Well, I said, well, you know, here it is, there's the gazelles. And you know the gazelles were not there by themselves, right? You know somebody else was around, right? Looking for lunch in all the right places. And gazelles, they have a cheetah detector right behind their ear. When they see a cheetah, they go like, uh-oh, cheetah, run! Now, the Discovery Channel said that the cheetah is the fastest animal on dry land. We had to slow this down so I'd have time to talk. He goes from 0 to 47 miles an hour in 4 leaps. Now, it's starting to come clear to me. Here's how you get out of debt. You deliver yourself like the gazelle from the hand of the hunter. The primary predator of the gazelle is the cheetah. Here's how you get out of debt. You run! You gotta bust it! You gotta, look, he picked out the college student, didn't he? Hey, you want a free hat? Hey, I'll give you a t-shirt. Just sign up for this credit card. You want a pizza? Hey, come here, kid. You need to build up your FICO score. Come here, kid. That's how you get out of debt. You got to run, baby. You got to put it in gear. You got to go, 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 go. Kick it, baby. Kick it. You know how long we had to look for a clip where he gets away? The truth is that the cheetah doesn't catch the gazelle but 1 in 19 times, and yet he can outrun him. Isn't that weird? What a great metaphor. Cheetah's after your family. Run! This is how you get out of debt. You pop it. Around our place, we find out that people get out of debt when they get gazelle intensity. When they quit caring what their broke friends think and their family who needs counseling thinks. They quit worrying about everybody else's opinion about what they drive. And they amputate the $40,000 Tahoe. And they're driving a hoopty. A piece of junk. They're going to drive like no one else so that later they get to drive like no one else because they want to change their family tree. They want to send their kids to college. They want to change how their grandkids live and their great-grandkids live. A godly man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. They want to change, and they get fired up. When you get fired up, you'll get out of debt. You can wander into debt, honey, but you can't wander out. You got to bust it. The gravitational pull is too strong. It holds you in the orbit. You have to kick the energy to break the orbit. It's the only chance you make it. And if you do it long enough, eventually you get to chase the cheetah. Thank you, Photoshop. Second thing we're going to teach you to do is you need to do the debt snowball. The debt snowball is where you list all of your debts, smallest to largest. You pay minimum payments on everything but the little one, and you attack the little one regardless of the interest rate. Well, my medical bills don't have any interest on them. Shut up and pay off the smallest one. Well, shouldn't we pay off the highest interest rate first? Wouldn't that be mathematically correct? Darling, if we were doing math, we wouldn't have credit card debt. This is about behavior modification. The problem with my money is the guy in my mirror. I got to change my behaviors. We had one mom going through our courses and put great big debt snowball. The form's on the back of your handout, by the way. The great big debt snowball, blew it up, put it on her refrigerator door. She'd draw a big red line through it every time she knocked one out. And the kids said she'd be walking through the kitchen looking at that thing going, "You're going down." The kids are like, "Mom's losing it." But you got to have a game plan. When you knock off that smallest one, you feel good. It's like going on a diet and losing weight. When you knock that next one off, you feel good. Every time you pay off one, you got more money to attack the next one down. The snowball rolls over. It gets bigger. By the time you get to the bottom, you are wired. Because it's, it's like, it's amazing. I ran 2 marathons one day the other day. My first and my last all in one day. But it's amazing. I run halves now. A whole marathon's just too tough for old guy. But I run these halves, and it's amazing to me. I can run for 2 hours or hour and a half. I can run 13 miles, and I'm running along for all this time, and I can still have a little bit left to sprint at the end. Isn't that weird? It's because you can see the end. When you can see the end, and the light at the end of the tunnel is not an oncoming train, you can go. And you go, that's it. That's the last one. You get this thing going, and people are like, just stay away from them. They're getting out of debt. They are weird people. And you become weird people because, by the way, normal is broke. You don't want to be normal. The Bible says be a peculiar people. I made it an art form. So there's 5 things you need to do with doing the debt snowball and with your gazelle intensity. 5 steps out of debt. Let's look at them. The first one is you need to save money. You need to save money. We teach people the very first thing they do with money, what we call baby step 1, is save $1,000. As fast as you can, get a little bit of a savings account. Because if you just get in there and you start cutting up your credit cards and you have no money and your tire is flat, then you're like, you're in here going, okay, I'm getting out of debt. That's it. I'm cutting these things up. I'm done, baby. That's it. I'm done. And then you go out there and your tire's flat. You'll be back in here going, where's the crazy glue? Because you've been leaning on these things. They're a rubber crutch, but you've been leaning on them. So you put a little bit of money aside as your first thing. Save some money. That's the first step. The next step is you got to quit borrowing more money. You can't get out of a hole while you dig out the bottom. So you got to say, that's it, no matter what happens. No matter what the situation, no matter how desperate or how intriguing or what the big opportunity is, I am not borrowing money anymore. And you get these things out and you have a plasectomy party. And if you've got kids, have your kids help you cut them. Because your kids will remember that. When you're at the store, you say, you remember? We cut up the cards, remember? I want that. I don't have any money. I cut up the cards. Remember, you helped me cut them up. But the kids will remember. You won't run into your kid 30 years later. They're 36 years old, and they'll remember that day they were 6 years old and the family tree was changed. They'll feel it in their emotions. Things happen when families take a stand. Things start to shift. It's a behavior modification issue. It's a matter of character. It's a matter of where you're going to live. I'm not borrowing money anymore. Next time I get ready to buy a car, I'm going to save a car payment for 10 months and write a check and buy cash. See, a car payment's $478. You put that in a cookie jar for 10 months, you got $5,000. Will that buy a little car? Say yes. Do I want to drive that car forever? Say no. I don't want to drive a $5,000 car forever. But I could drive it for 10 more months while I saved up another $5,000, then I'd have a $10,000 car, right? Because the good news about that $5,000 car is it isn't going down much in value. It's pretty well done. I'm not borrowing money anymore. And then God will go, this is a test. When your transmission goes out, right? Now what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? And then he has the opportunity to show up. I had a friend of mine decided he wasn't borrowing money anymore. 3 weeks later, his car engine blew up. He had no money. He had to have the car to get to work. He called me. He said, what do you do? I said, I don't know what you do, but I'll tell you what you got to do. This is a decision. Right now, you're deciding how you're going to live the rest of your life. Right now. This is a hinge pin moment. A guy at his church, he was telling him what was going on. The guy at his church goes, man, I got an old pickup back here. It's not anything fancy, but you can drive it for a few weeks. He drove that old pickup for 3 months, saved up, paid cash for a little car. The guy has a pile of money now. That was just a few years ago. But he made a decision in that moment and allowed one of God's people to show up. God showing up through his people, go figure, to help him out and walk him through this thing. Quit borrowing more money. The third one is prayer really works. Now, I'm not a theologian. I'm just kind of a regular guy that loves Jesus. But I'll tell you this. The way I got it figured out is this. You're deeply in debt, and your heavenly Father is crazy about you. God in heaven thinks you're awesome. You're deeply in debt, and good news, he owns everything. He's really rich. Your dad is rich, and you're in debt. Phone home, E.T. Check in. Call home. Now, I'm not saying God's going to give stupid people money because they will lose it. But if you're on a plan, I can tell you this. Over the years of counseling people, I've watched people year after year after year who are getting out of debt and are gazelle intense. I've watched their incomes go up as they're doing that. Blessings occur. It's kind of mystical and weird. Not really. It's kind of practical. You now became trustworthy, worthy of trust. And the father looks and says, that one's growing a brain. We may be able to use that one. Well, I don't want to phone home. He's mad at me. He's not mad at you. Well, you don't know what I've done, Dave. Listen, how many of you have had enough kids that you had a stupid one? God has some stupid kids. And don't you love the stupid one anyway? I mean, I don't care if I get an A or a C. I mean, I care, but I mean, I love the C as much as I love the A, don't I? Because I'm a loving father, and I'm an imperfect father. He loves you anyway. If you phone home with the right attitude and you hadn't called home in a while, he's not mad at you. As a matter of fact, he'll throw a party, give you a new suit of clothes, put a gold ring on your finger, and serve filet mignon. It's in there. Look it up. It'll change your life. Prayer really works. Ask for some help. Number 4, sell something. Sell so much stuff the kids think they're next. Name the dog eBay. Put the cat on Craigslist. You got to sell stuff. If it's not bolted down, dump it. Not that Craigslist. Has he got his own list? Oh my gosh. Most of you don't need to sell your house. Most of you, that's not it. But some of you need to sell your car. Some of you are out of control. I have people call me up. You know, Dave, I make $32,000 a year. How do I fund my kids' college? How much do you owe on your car? I was calling about college. Yeah, I know, but how much do you owe on your car? $28,000. You make $32,000, you're driving a $28,000 car. Dude, that's stupid. See, that's biblical counsel right there. Amputate the Tahoe. You can't get traction with a $600 car payment, and nobody's impressed, really. They're not. They act like they are, and about 20 minutes after the toxic smell wears off the new car smell, they're not impressed anymore. That's it. Number 5, take a part-time job or an extra job or some overtime or something like that. My grandmother used to say there's a great place to go when you're broke. To work. Work is a surefire money-making scheme. If you read Scripture, our God is a God of work. The diligent prosper. Don't work, don't eat. It's all in there. I'm just praying and waiting on God. No, that's Christian for lazy. There's a time you wait on God. I'm just kidding around. But a lot of times when my brothers and sisters in Christ say that, I just give them a little kick. Move, get moving. You know, because you're just rationalizing in the name of Christ being lazy. Get off your tail end and go kill something. You got to get up, leave the cave, kill something, and drag it home. That's how it works, man. We're a people of action. We're not a people of passivity. We're a people that's proactive and causes things to happen. Get out there and knock something down, man. Make a mess somewhere. You know, go make some money. It'll solve a lot of, there's only 2 sides of the equation, the income and the outgo. Got to get the outgo down and the income up, creates margin in the middle for giving and saving. This is the formula. So you really do have to make some more money. Do you want to work crazy for the rest of your life? No. You work like no one else, so later you can work like no one else. You know when I work? Whenever I want. You know why? Because I used to work all the time. Now I do what I want to do when I want to do it. I'm spoiled rotten. But there's a way you get there. You spoil yourself rotten by pouring on the coals, making a difference for a period of time. Intensity for a short period of time blows things up. Do these 5 steps. They will absolutely get you out of debt every time. Think about it with me. If you had no payments, if you were gazelle intense and you used the debt snowball and you prayed and you worked extra and you quit borrowing more money and you sold stuff and you got completely out of debt, breathe that in, no payments. Whew, man, if you didn't have any payments, how much could you save? Wow. How much could you invest without a house payment? You know, you invest a house payment, how fast that's $1 million? Wow. You could do some stuff with $1 million. How much could you give if you had no payments? Talked to a lady the other day who paid off her house, and she said, you know, I've been wanting a dining room suite for so long, and now I can buy a dining room suite every month. Isn't it weird? I had a weird experience after we got completely out of that. I was walking through the mall, and I saw all this stuff, and I could buy anything in there, and suddenly I didn't want any of it. It was the weirdest thing. It changes your life. It releases you to be who you really are. Your Father has a plan for you, and it's not to serve other masters. It's to serve the Master. And it's hard to do that while you're being pulled in 62 different directions. Bust free, baby. Get gazelle intense. Run! Bust into this thing. It's a violent process. Embrace the violence. It'll change everything, and it'll take you exactly where you need to go.
Well, guys, getting out of debt is not going to be easy. But as Dave said, it's going to take gazelle-like intensity to eliminate debt. So what areas of your own financial life is it going to take this type of intensity to get yourself debt-free? Oh, got a little windy outside. All right, guys, now it's on you to turn up the intensity as you begin this process of breaking free from the bondage of debt. In the appendix of this lesson, you'll find your assignments for this week, which is to fill out the debt snowball worksheet that was talked about, and also to create a budget. Now listen, this is one of the most critical portions of our time together, and I can tell you firsthand how significant it is. After my wife going through cancer and me having major surgery, we spent years trying to live off about half of our normal income, thanks to employment insurance. I vowed that we would never live like that again. And by using the debt snowball and our budget, we're now able to control our finances and breathe easier. So take this seriously. Next week, we're going to talk about the importance of planning and investing today so that it'll pay us tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed today's lessons. See you next week.